In this GED Social Studies preparation video, we will be looking at all the kinds of questions you should expect on the Reading for Meaning section. Don't forget to check out ultimateged.com for everything you need to pass all the GED subjects. Let's dive in. Read the excerpts from the letters between John Adams and his wife, Abigail Adams, in 1776, and answer the following question. Letter from Abigail Adams to John Adams on March 31, 1776. I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation. Now, letter from John Adams in response to his wife, Abigail Adams, on April 14, 1776. As to your extraordinary code of laws, I cannot but laugh. We have only the name of masters, and rather than give up this, which would completely subject us to the despotism of the petticoat, I hope General Washington and all our brave heroes would fight. Based on the letters, what is the one idea that both John Adams and Abigail Adams seem to agree on? This question is a great example to identify and evaluate claims and evidence used to support them. You'll be given social studies passages and asked to decide whether a claim is supported by evidence and to compare how different sources agree or disagree. A claim is a statement or main idea that someone is trying to prove or argue. Evidence is proof or support used to show that a claim is true, usually through facts, examples, or data. Now let's provide some general information to help make answering the question easier. In 1776, John Adams was a prominent revolutionary leader and a key advocate for American independence from Britain. He was a skilled lawyer and one of the 5 main authors of the Declaration of Independence, who played a vital role in shaping the founding principles of the United States. Now let's put Abigail Adams and John Adams' letters into simpler words. Let's start with Abigail Adams. Abigail Adams is saying, please don't forget about women when you help make the new laws. Be kinder and fairer to us than past generations were. If women are ignored, we will start our own rebellion. We won't follow laws that we had no say in and don't represent us. Now let's put John Adams' letter into simpler words. John Adams is saying, I can't help but laugh at your bold ideas for new laws. Men may be called the ones in charge, but really we're not. If we gave up that title completely, women would totally rule over us. And that would be like living under women's control. I hope our army leader, George Washington, and the soldiers would be ready to fight if women ever tried to take control. Now let's go through the answer choices. Option A says that women should rebel if they are not given more legal rights. That's not correct. This is because in the letters, only Abigail says this directly, that we are determined to foment a rebellion. In John's letter, he does not support or agree with the idea of women rebelling. In fact, he laughs at the suggestion and jokes about it. So, option A is only Abigail's view and not shared by both. Option B says that men hold power in name, but women have influence in reality. That's incorrect. This sounds like something John says in his letter, we have only the name of masters. But Abigail never says in her letter that women already have influence or power. In her letter to John, she's actually demanding change and warning of rebellion because women have no voice. So the statement in option B reflects John's sarcasm, but it's not a shared belief with Abigail. Option C says that laws are needed to protect men from being overpowered by women. That's also incorrect. This is based on John joking exaggeration, not a serious argument. In John's letter, when he refers to the despotism of the petticoat, he's using humor to suggest that women already have behind-the-scenes influence, even though men appear to be in charge. So the statement in option C is a joke meant to tease or exaggerate, not something both Abigail and John actually believe or agree on. Option D says that women are actively involved in political thought and may challenge unfair treatment. That's correct. In Abigail's letter, she is saying, "If particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion." This shows that women are not passive, they are thinking politically and willing to act. And in John's response to Abigail, even while joking, admits that women are influential when he says, "which would completely subject us to the despotism of the petticoat." This sarcastic remark he makes implies that women already have real influence, even if not officially recognized. Thus, both letters recognize that women are aware, engaged, and capable of challenging the status quo. So the correct answer is D, that women are actively involved in political thought and may challenge unfair treatment. Before we move on to the next question, please encourage us to post more videos and help more students pass by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Read the excerpt from the letter from Birmingham Jail, written by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1963, and answer the following question. We have waited for more than 340 years for our constitutional and God-given rights. The nations of Asia and Africa are moving with jet-like speed toward gaining political independence, but we still creak at horse and buggy pace toward gaining a cup of coffee at a lunch counter. Perhaps it is easy for those who have never felt the stinging darts of segregation to say, "Wait." But when you have seen vicious mobs lynch your mothers and fathers at will and drown your sisters and brothers at whim, then you will understand why we find it difficult to wait. What concept is the main idea of this excerpt? This is a great example of a reading for meaning question in social studies. Here you are tested on your ability to analyze and understand historical documents. So what is Dr. King talking about in this letter? He is saying we've been told to wait for justice and equal rights for far too long. But the pain caused by racism is real and urgent. While other nations are making fast progress toward freedom and equality, things are moving painfully slow here. People are suffering. So through peaceful protest, we are demanding the change we deserve right now. This is a clear and powerful message that focuses on the equal rights of all people, especially those who have been denied them for far too long. And it gives the reminder that waiting quietly in the face of injustice only allows the pain to continue. Now let's go through the answer choices. Option A says, global trade. That's incorrect. A global trade refers to the exchange of goods and services between countries. Dr. King's letter has nothing to do with trade, imports, exports, or international commerce. He is discussing civil rights and segregation, not business or economic exchange. Option B says, civil disobedience. That's incorrect. Civil disobedience is the act of peacefully breaking laws that are considered unjust, often to bring about change. Now, although civil disobedience may seem like the main concept in Dr. King's letter, it's not the focus. Dr. King's letter highlights the frustrations and injustice of waiting for their constitutional and God-given rights. In other words, their equal rights. Option C says, equal rights. That's correct. Dr. King's letter talks about the long delay in receiving their constitutional and God-given rights. He compares the swift progress of other nations to the slow pace of civil rights in the U.S. He highlights the painful realities of segregation to show why waiting is no longer acceptable. Dr. King's letter directly speaks to the fight for equal rights. Option D says, checks and balances. That's incorrect. Checks and balances refer to how the three branches of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, limit each other's power. However, in Dr. King's letter, he is not talking about how government power is divided. He's talking about social injustice, segregation, and the long wait for equality. So the correct answer is C, equal rights. The chart below shows the 6 steps to go through to formally ratify or approve an international treaty in the United States. Now let's read the passage on the right. The Treaty of Versailles. In 1919, following the end of World War I, President Woodrow Wilson presented the Treaty of Versailles to the U.S. Senate. The treaty included the creation of the League of Nations, a proposed international organization aimed at maintaining peace. The treaty was brought before a Senate hearing, where members listened to testimony and analyzed its terms. Afterward, the treaty was brought to the Senate floor to debate its terms. Some senators opposed the treaty, arguing it could entangle the U.S. in future foreign conflicts. The Senate ultimately rejected the treaty. What does the word hearing mean in both the chart and the passage? This is a great example of a social studies vocabulary question. Here you are tested on your ability to understand key terms and phrases. In the chart and passage, the word hearing means a formal meeting held by the Senate committee to gather information, hear different points of view, and to analyze issues. Now let's go through the answer choices. Option A says, the physical ability to perceive sound. That's not correct. This is because in the chart and passage, the word hearing is about a formal meeting, not a listening ability. Option B says, a trial to determine guilt or innocence. That's also incorrect. This is because a trial is usually held in a courtroom under a judge's authority. It is a place to determine who is innocent and who is guilty. However, in both the chart and the passage, the word hearing refers to a formal meeting held by the Senate to gather information, hear different points of view, and analyze issues concerning the nation as a whole, not criminal matters. Option C says, a conversation between friends. That's incorrect. This is because in both the chart and passage, the word hearing means an official, structured gathering, not an informal discussion. Option D says, an official meeting to gather information or evaluate issues. That's correct. In both the chart and the passage, the word hearing refers to the formal Senate committee meeting where senators listen to testimony, ask questions, and analyze issues, to then send the treaty on for a debate on the Senate floor, and subsequently, for a full Senate vote. So the correct answer is D, an official meeting to gather information or evaluate issues. Read the excerpt from President Bill Clinton's second inaugural address in 1997 and answer the following question. My fellow citizens, at this last presidential inauguration of the 20th century, let us lift our eyes toward the challenges that await us in the next century. It is our responsibility to bring the hopes and dreams of Americans to life, to give meaning to the promise of democracy and the destiny of this great nation. Based on the excerpt, why does the speaker likely refer to this moment as the last presidential inauguration of the 20th century? This is a great example for identifying how authors use language in a GED social studies question. You'll often be asked to understand how a speaker or writer uses tone, word choice, or point of view to support their argument and connect with their audience. Now let's break down the excerpt from Clinton's speech into simpler words. President Clinton is saying, my fellow Americans, as we celebrate the last presidential swearing-in of the 20th century, let's look ahead to the challenges we'll face in the 21st century. It's up to us to make the hopes and dreams of the American people come true, and to live in a way that shows that our way of government, where people have the power to choose their leaders and help make laws, really works. That's how we shape the future of this great country. Now let's go through the answer choices. Option A says, to imply that political traditions may no longer be relevant. That's not correct. This is not supported by the excerpt. The speaker, President Clinton, actually embraces tradition because he is speaking at a presidential inauguration, a deeply rooted American political tradition, and he calls on Americans to fulfill the promise of democracy. There is no tone of criticism or dismissal of political traditions in the excerpt. Instead, the speaker encourages carrying them forward with purpose. Option B says, to draw attention to the symbolic closing of a historic chapter. That's correct. By referring to it as the last presidential inauguration of the 20th century, President Clinton highlights a significant moment in history, the close of one century and the beginning of the next. He is saying in the excerpt that this moment invites reflection on the nation's past and a sense of responsibility moving forward. It's symbolic, not just a calendar fact. Option C says, to stress concerns about the survival of national values. That's incorrect. In the excerpt, President Clinton doesn't express concern or fear that national values are in danger. Instead, he expresses confidence and responsibility, saying it is our responsibility to bring hopes to life and fulfill democracy's promise. In the excerpt, President Clinton is inspiring and optimistic, not anxious or alarmed about the nation's survival. Option D says, to suggest that future leaders should break from past policies. That's also incorrect. Nowhere in the excerpt does the speaker say or imply that future leaders should reject or break from the past. On the contrary, he calls for giving meaning to democracy and continuing the destiny of the nation, which suggests building on the past, not abandoning it. President Clinton's language in the excerpt does not reject past policies. Rather, it emphasizes moving forward with unity, hope, and a sense of national purpose. So the correct answer is B, to draw attention to the symbolic closing of a historic chapter. Read the excerpt from President Obama's first inaugural address in 2009 and answer the following question. The time has come to reaffirm our enduring spirit, to choose our better history, to carry forward that precious gift, that noble idea, passed on from generation to generation, the God-given promise that all are equal, all are free, and all deserve a chance to pursue their full measure of happiness. Which of the following lines best shows President Obama expressing a personal opinion rather than a proven fact? This is a great example for testing your ability to distinguish between facts and opinions in a social studies question. Facts are statements that can be proven true or false. They are based on evidence, data, or historical records. They are objective, thus, not influenced by personal values or judgment. Whereas opinions are statements that express beliefs, feelings, or judgments. They are subjective, thus, based on personal values. Let's put President Obama's 2009 speech into simpler words. Obama is saying, now is the time to strengthen our spirit and choose the best parts of our history. We must keep moving forward with this special gift and powerful idea passed down through the years. The belief that everyone is equal, everyone should be free, and everyone deserves a fair chance to live a full and happy life. Now let's go through the answer choices. Option A says, the God-given promise that all are equal. That is correct. This line reflects a personal and moral belief, not a fact that can be measured or proven. In the excerpt, the phrase God-given promise is based on personal faith and values, not on evidence or law. The idea that all are equal is a foundational belief in American democracy, but people have different experiences and definitions of equality, so it's not universally proven in real-life practice. Now, since we are looking for the best answer, let's go through the rest of the answer choices. Option B says, passed on from generation to generation. That's incorrect. This line is supported by historical facts, like the founding documents, the Declaration of Independence, 1776, or the U.S. Constitution, 1787, and other speeches that repeated ideas of equality and freedom, like the speech, I Have a Dream, by Martin Luther King Jr. So while the phrase sounds poetic, it describes a pattern based on historical records. Thus, it leans more toward a fact than opinion. Option C says, to pursue their full measure of happiness. That's not correct. This phrase is not purely a personal opinion. The phrase refers to a long-standing idea found in the Declaration of Independence, 1776, the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So while the phrase expresses a belief in equal rights and opportunity, it is grounded in historical documents and widely accepted core values of democracy. Option D says, to carry forward that precious gift. That's also incorrect. In this phrase, although the term precious gift expresses an opinion, the main part of the phrase, to carry forward, is a general call to action. It encourages people to continue a tradition or uphold an idea. The idea that all people are equal and free, a core principle of democracy. So the phrase as a whole is less about expressing personal belief and more about motivating others to take part in something already passed down. The idea of true freedom. So the correct answer is option A, the God-given promise that all are equal. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. Check out our other GED videos on YouTube. Don't forget to visit ultimateged.com for more exclusive content, a GED social group, complete GED math course, and take a free test.